Hey everybody, here's a behind-the-scenes look at New York jazz stories. People might wonder what the show's about, what are the stories, where do they come from? Well, here's where they come from. I took over Cadence magazine about 12 years ago, and when I did, I started altering the interviews a little bit, just adding something, which was a question or a memory. Could you recount a turning point in your life? And those stories were collected, and the memories were collected and put together in the magazine called Jazz Stories, which was then cobbled together as a book of jazz stories. And then an edition was done of the New York-centric stories. The stories are from individual jazz artists, and they're retold by me. I started doing this in the studio and then started doing this on stage. I performed in Los Angeles and Portland and then started doing it in New York. It was, like I said, it was 2016 when the Public Theater invited me to perform at Joe's Pub, which is their kind of cabaret style theater. Seats about 170 people. The show consists of myself on piano and telling stories, and I have a backup band, and the band provides a soundtrack for the stories as well as improvised music in between. Now the music's very special because we're talking about musicians, and we're giving you a taste of improvised music that is designed to be a complete piece, instant composition, some people call it. So I'm very particular with who I work with, and it's always a real joy to come together, create music. We don't rehearse. I read the stories off the page, and it's a very intimate setting to work with them. And the band is featuring jazz titan Joe Lovano, and I'm very excited to have Joe and Judy Silvano, and both of them will be performing music but also telling their stories of when they first came to New York. And the other musicians are Cheryl Pyle on flute and Adam Lane on bass, plus the great drummer Jimmy Bennington. Intimate stories from people about a personal time in their lives and compositions created in the moment. Hope to see you. Come say hi. I met Thelonious Monk. Yeah, I was introduced to him in one of my concerts by my manager, who was also setting up that concert. So Monk, he looked into my eyes, and I've never had anybody look at me like that, you know. He saw so much, it was unbelievable. So he asked me after the concert, he said, could I come with him and Nellie, that was his wife, right? And he wanted to go out. And he said, but first he wanted to know about European music. And the first question he asked me was, who is copying me over there? Who's copying me, right? And I thought, well, you see, I know all the copycats, but I don't think too much of them. I think in jazz you're supposed to be original, right? Come up with your own voice. But no, this was his aspect. He said, the more people that copy me, the more fans I'll have. Yeah, that was his idea. And so the writers in Downbeat, they used to criticize him a lot because he'd get up from the piano and he'd dance around. He'd let other people play, and but what he was doing, I saw him in that concert, and Frankie Dunlop was the drummer. Frankie Dunlop. Now, Frankie is a drummer, but he was a real dancer. Yeah, he was a dancer, and and Monk, he was quite voluminous at the time. He was like a big bear. So when he'd get up and he would come and he would dance, and what he was doing is he was
moving, and his movements were being interpreted by the band, right? Yeah. That's what Monk was doing when he was dancing. He was responding to the band.